until help came. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I know when I was there for a couple of months, and I went down to, when I was done at Pass Christian, I went down to the Ninth Ward and connected with some people at emergency communities. And emergency communities, I don't know what the foundation is like, but in this camp, it was just a bunch of hippies, you know, tents and hippies and people just trying to do the right thing. And they had it all set up in these big tents. They had a feeding center, or a tent that you could come and eat 3 meals a day there. We would, for all the people living on the Ninth Ward that couldn't leave because they had no place to go or no way to get there, they would come, we would change out their clothes, give them new clothes, and then wash their clothes. We had a little media tent so that you could actually, once they got the internet and everything up, you could actually, send messages out. We lent boards. We went and helped people pick through their homes and get the stuff that they could find. It was a pretty wonderful thing. We gave massages.
That's terrific.
Doctored people. The military or the government brought in some refrigerated trucks with food and water for these people. So that's where we got our food and water. And for the most part, everybody lived in a pup tent. I lived on top of my bike. I was fortunate, but most of them lived in pup tents, those little tents from when you were Boy Scouts, the little ones. And then there were a few that looked like teepees.
Wow.
So, but everybody threw in. I have to tell you, I was really frustrated with the news reports because,
talk about that.
Well, it was about looters and bad guys and on shootings and I'm sure. You get a bunch of people that are absolutely desperate and
traumatized.
And traumatized and lost and angry, and there's no help coming, or you don't feel like there's any help coming, and you can't really see. You forget that outside of this city, regular life is continuing on. So you get a little crazy, but I didn't see those people. I saw people coming to help. I saw people that had lost their homes bending over backwards to help the other guy. I saw a lot of really people
chipping in, stepping up.
Yes,
and
in
getting
in their
involved.
community and their people. So I'm sure that stuff went on. Obviously it did, but
by
that
comparison, it was nothing.
That wasn't the real of the situation. And I have to tell you, the massive devastation of this area, and it wasn't just this town, it was every town along the coast. And it wasn't a few houses. Like, we get fires here, we'll get some communities that all burn down. No, if you were the size of LA and every single home, every single telephone pole, every bit of
infrastructure
is completely wiped out, it would take a really long time to absolutely be able to fix this. I can tell you the people that came in to rescue were like, holy crap. It wasn't like, oh my God, let me get that one. It's every single one. I have pictures of houses that had floated into other yards or down the street. In the Ninth Ward, there were 3 houses in the middle of an intersection. God only knows where they came from. There was a house that looked like it was on a foundation, and underneath this house, flipped upside down, sitting on the front porch, was a car. And that house didn't start out there. That house was the neighbor's house. There were refrigerators on top of and anything like that, refrigerators, trash compactors, things like that, were sitting on roofs. But the roofs, it was so high. The water was so unbelievably high. Unless you had a brick foundation or a brick house, your house was someplace else. And vehicles and trash and everything in those homes.
What about plumbing and everything? People need to go to the bathroom. What happened?
There was no place. They brought the trailers, these FEMA trailers. And even 9 months later, when I was there, because I kept returning, they were still sitting in the same lots. And the truth is that there was no place to get them to. There was no electricity. There was no place. The roads weren't clear enough that you could actually put a trailer in there, drive to it and put it in there and get it hooked up with electricity. All the phone, I have a wonderful picture in the Ninth Ward of a long road with a row of telephone poles, and they're all leaning on the ground. And all the utility poles were doing the same thing. There were wires. It looked like somebody had hung their wash on all the wires. And it smelled like death. Unbelievable. There were also a lot of animals, dead animals. And by that time I got there, they were all covered with maggots. So what you'd walk by is an outline of an animal, but it was just white worms all over it.
How terrible.
It was horrendous. And that was everything. That wasn't, you couldn't step into another block and it'd be better. It was miles and miles of devastation. But I really did see a lot of heroes, just regular heroes,
What was your experience of law enforcement, of FEMA, of the people that
I didn't see FEMA.
Were facilitating?
I didn't see FEMA. I saw that in the past, in Pass Christian, I could see where they had come through because the houses were marked. They mark how many dead, how many alive, that sort of thing on all of the houses. But I never saw FEMA. I can't even imagine. I know they went through, but again, I'll tell you an interesting story. They thought, I have a friend who is a vet. Her name is Rachel Jones. She's Quincy Jones's daughter. And I worked a lot with her. And so when I got there, I had all kinds of meds and stuff, not pill forms, but, wrappings and stuff to deal with the animals. And so when I got there, I was the animal expert on call, right? And I went around, and there were, the police would come to me or the fire department would come to me walking in a troop. They'd say, listen, Al, there's a dog over here, there's a cat over there, and if I could zip them into my tea bags on my motorcycle, I would take them out and hand them over to a vet or something. But if I couldn't, then I would just, feed them every single day and make sure they had water. And the animals were exactly like the people, very stressed out, very much in shock. I had dogs I couldn't touch or go near because they were barking at me, or I couldn't get them out from underneath cars, but I'd still put food there. And eventually, usually there was this one couple. It was a German Shepherd, a female German Shepherd, and a yellow lab. And the yellow lab, something had split his head open so that I could actually see his eyeball moving.
I'm going to faint.
But I couldn't catch the dog. It took me 5 days to be able to get them to come to me. And they were always hindering the police or the fire department when they would come by because this female was very protective of this golden retriever, and she would just make sure everybody stayed away, and they're like, oh God, Al, come get these dogs. Well, I couldn't, I couldn't capture them. And the other thing is I didn't have leads or anything. I was walking around picking up leashes, pieces of rope. I have found quite a few actual, what do you call those things? Crates, that people had, empty crates. And the first guy that I went to that had the dog that was living on his porch, he helped me take care of these animals. So what would happen was I sort of had a map of where all these animals were. And if I could bring them to his house, I would. And he had this little gated area, and we put them in there. And if not, I had, I would visit every day and feed them and water them and just try to coax them out, right? FEMA came about, I'm going to say 5 days or 6 days after I got there. And I was over at the police trailer, and I saw them drive up, beautiful white truck. These women had these blue, beautiful, it said FEMA vet. They were clean, they were nice, they looked like paratroopers. God damn, they were good looking. Their hair was done, their makeup was done. Now you got to know, I've already been sleeping on my motorcycle. Forget the trip. I've been sleeping for almost 2 weeks on my motorcycle, okay? And I'm burnt and I'm tired, and we're all looking like this, okay? We're looking bad. And the woman, I see the chief, he points over at me, and so the woman comes over and says, "Are you the vet on call?" I said, "Uh-oh, I'm busted." "Yes."
Oh my God.
And she said, "Well, listen." And she rolled out this paper. She said, I need this address. There's a woman there. She has, I forget how many, but 20 Yorkshire Terriers. and we came to check up on these animals. I said, well, the house isn't there anymore. There's actually nothing on that street right now. And she said, well, can you take me there? I said, well, yeah, I can.